Welcome to Buckets, your daily NBA betting podcast, live from the Tommy John home studios. I'm a Tommy John guy myself, so I can attest to the comfort and versatility of their underwear and their loungewear. We've got bets, we've got caps, we're in, we're out. I'm your host today, Brandon Kravitz, the new guy at BK Picks in the app. But here with me is a man that you know and love, Michael Fiddle, the red hot Michael Fiddle at Fiddle's Picks in the Action Network app. Michael, this is our first chance to do a podcast together. I love your analysis. I've been listening to you on this podcast for years. Your read of the market on a weekly basis is something that I look forward to, and I'm excited to break down this card with you.
Let's go. I'm excited to be talking some Orlando Magic on this slate as well, now that I know I have you here to talk through it.
This is great because I went out of my way to not have the Magic on my slip for tonight, and then you come with a Magic bet, and then so now I can just sort of feed off of you. A reminder that everything that we talk about today can be found in the award-winning Action Network app, as well as quick slips for our picks today in the episode description. So we're going to go back and forth here, give our picks, and then we'll get into it. I think you may have already gotten the feel for where this may be going as far as Michael Fiddle. So go ahead and let us know what's your best bet on the Thursday slate.
Brandon, give me Magic -5 on the road against the Trailblazers. We will talk it through. I have two other bets that I've placed on this card, so we could see if we could kind of get to them, but the numbers have moved. Magic -5 is the one that's certainly still actionable.
Okay, love that. My best bet on the night, Grizzlies -4, and I'll be taking DeAndre Hunter under 19.5 points plus assists for the Atlanta Hawks. The Grizzlies taking on the Houston Rockets, and excited to break that one down. So go ahead and give me the Magic cap. Let me know why we should be betting on my hometown team.
So it's like about a week ago, maybe 10 days ago, these two teams played in Orlando, and the Trailblazers took them to the woodshed and covered not only a +9.5, but cashed a +360 on the money line, which is a side that I was on. So I was been on this spot, this matchup, these schedule spots for these specific teams, and this one is just so much different than where we were a week ago for the Magic. Here we have Franz back into his normal minutes. The time that they played previously was Franz's first game back in the rotation from his oblique injury. It was Suggs still being out of the rotation. It was Goga Batadze still being injured. So now you have Suggs back and ramping up his minutes, or he's questionable. Maybe you know more than me in that one, but it seems like he might be good to go. You definitely have Franz, who's going to clear 30 minutes in this one. You have Goga to handle a lot of the interior skill that makes Portland kind of underrated. They have like a little point forward in Denny Avdia. They have a good center rotation, whether that's Klingon, Ayton, Robert Williams, so whoever is out there. Goga becomes a nice piece to re-add to the Magic in this spot. You get it at the key number of 5. We've already seen this move from 4.5 to 5, 5.5 starting to pop up. This is a Magic revenge spot from a game that they lost by damn near 30 points about a week ago on their home court. Now they get to give them the business, and the Blazers have been so hot. I think they've covered what you said, 6 straight. They've won 3 of the last 4. The only one they dropped was the Thunder. They beat the Magic. They beat the Milwaukee Bucks. They beat the Charlotte Hornets on the road. So Blazers have been rolling. So this is a perfect time to sell high Blazers and get a good Magic price in a revenge spot as they're healthy.
I want to be there, and I probably eventually get to where you're at with this Magic team, but the Blazers are a wagon right now, and eventually it's going to come to an end. Trees don't grow to the sky, especially if that tree lives in Portland, although I hear it's a beautiful place. I was on the Magic the last time these two teams played, and perhaps part of this is just my own PTSD. And then I was on Buckets. The last episode that I was on was the night that bad loss for me occurred. And I don't know if it was in a bit of revenge or what, but my best bet on that episode was Blazers to cover against the Hornets on the second night of a back-to-back. The Blazers came to the Southeast, and they just slayed the entire Southeast division. Miami, Charlotte, Orlando. I just wonder at what point this does run out, and is this that spot? The issue with the Magic right now is that even though these guys are back, they're still not playing their best basketball. They went down to Miami and took on a Jimmy Butler-less Miami Heat team, and it felt like that was a game that they absolutely should have won, and they let the ropes slip. Paolo Banchero was a mess at the end of the game. He had 5 turnovers, and some of those were key turnovers at the end of the game. That's my concern with this team right now. Franz is great, and I'm probably going to end up looking the way of Franz props for this game. I'm just worried that if Paolo's not at his best, are the Magic going to be a cover-happy team like they were early in the season? They're 1-4 against the spread in their last 5. I'm a little bit concerned, but
Brandon, can I tell you the difference between
please.
me and you that's developing here is that you're like remembering the old wounds. I see the anomalies and just throw that out. I'm just like, that was not supposed to happen. I'm like, I'll go back to the well with that one. Give me it again, and I'll wait for it to cash, and I'll say those anomalies eventually will get run out of steam. So it's like for that Magic versus Heat game, I think the Magic were up double digits in the fourth quarter, and then up 6 or 7 points in overtime, and they let both of those leads slide. That's like a 4% chance of happening for that team. So I will get over that. I will trust a physical team with good culture and a great coach to bounce out of that hole.
All right. I need the confidence. I appreciate it, and perhaps I end up getting there. Let me give you my read on Grizzlies -4. So the line is starting to run here too. So keep an eye on that. They're taking on a Rockets team that is really good, but they are a little inflated at the moment. They didn't cover in their last game, but prior to that, a win against the Cavs, a win against the Celtics, and I think that is more fresh on bettors' minds right now. So I'm fading a bit of perception here. Also, the Grizzlies are coming off of a horrendous loss to the New York Knicks. They got blasted by 37 at MSG, and perhaps because I wasn't on that game, I don't have the same sort of fear of going back to Memphis here. But they come home where they've been dynamite against the spread, second best ATS team at home this season in the NBA, covering at a rate of 71%. And I know you like to read the betting lines, so this analysis is perfect for you. It looks like money's pouring in on the Memphis side early on, so I want in on that. Grizzlies -4 at home against their division rival.
Yeah, this one's a total stay away for me because I see it as a Grizzlies market. I see it as a Grizzlies spot. But historically, this has been matchup advantage Rockets. So it's like, what do you play into? The matchup advantage in this particular spot. I think Rockets have won 6 of the past 7 between the two. It's really since this version of the Rockets has come into form with Ime Udoka, they've really handled the Grizzlies. I still think the Grizzlies are the better team if you were going to go play against another neutral opponent. But the Rockets in this particular matchup, when you go physicality versus physicality, have a little bit more oomph. The Grizzlies have more versatility to play some other groups out there. This is a terrible schedule spot for the Rockets. So I think that's really what the action's coming in on early. 3 games in 4 nights for the Rockets, all of them a road trip from the East Coast, traveling, down to Tennessee, time zone gap from their Houston hometown. So just like there's a lot going on for a young Rockets team to deal with in this spot after coming off some competitive games. So it's a stay away spot for me, but I understand the Memphis team and the Memphis angle that's coming in. I just don't know what to choose, matchup or schedule, because I like playing both. I wish they aligned.
I wanted to ask you that as a follow-up, because this is the 4th and final meeting this season between these two teams. The Rockets have won all of them, to your point. So I'm riding with the it's hard to beat a team 4 times theory. Where do you tend to sit? Is there a general philosophy for you on whether it's a 4-game series, 3-game, whatever it is, that it's hard to do that? Or like you said, hey, there's a reason why they've won this game 3 times already.
I completely both, and I will let the market dictate which one applies to this specific one. So the way that I'll handle that, Brandon, is say this one's clearly a Grizzlies spot that's developing, right? So the market's saying Grizzlies or nothing. I would not want to back the Rockets and try and get like a +4, +4.5 out there. It's not enough on the road. Grizzlies are a dominant home team in a bad schedule spot. This is one where you just throw away the matchup advantage. But if the Rockets do win, right? we're storing that information away for next season. We're jotting down which ones go 4-0. Like, look at Kings versus Pelicans last year. Look at some of the ones where one team has absolutely owned the other. Look how well Atlanta always plays against Boston. So you write those things down and you note them, and you're like, okay, I want to hold this information for when it comes. Because Grizzlies and Rockets could see each other in a playoff series, and whoever has home court advantage could dictate what the price of that matchup is. And if I'm looking at that and we're like neutral rest disparity coming into it, neutral injury report stuff, and it's simply home court advantage with matchup advantage on the away side, that's a great spot for the Rockets that would be eventually coming. But in the game-to-game market, just listen to what the board is saying.
Assuming let's say the Grizzlies had home court advantage, would they be a favorite in that playoff series, you think?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
They're
What
too
if you-
close in power
I-
ranks. So it would be, if Houston were home, they would be slight favorites as well.
So I also like DeAndre Hunter under 19.5 points plus assists. Hunter had that big game against Minnesota a couple of days ago, but he just hasn't been hitting this. He's gone under his points prop in 7 of his last 9. I'm adding assists to the mix just to get the bump in terms of numbers because Hunter isn't much of a passer. He's either a catch and shoot 3 guy or he attacks the basket. He's not much of a creator. 1 assist or less in 4 of his last 6 games, so I don't feel like I'm getting hurt on the number there. Hunter is pretty easy to figure out. He's either making his threes and he hits this or he doesn't. Over his last 4 games, he's shooting 22% from 3-point range, and I did not filter out a 50% performance from DeAndre Hunter, and it doesn't hurt at all that the Cavs are number 2 in the NBA at limiting 3-point attempts, so it could be tough for him to get them up in the first place. So I love this one. Hunter under 19.5 points plus assists. Full transparency, I haven't actually seen that number out. That's just exactly where it's been set for the last week or so.
It should be about where it is. You might actually even get a slightly higher number considering they're playing Cleveland and the game priced 238.5 in the total. One of the other places that I did bet for this card was the under in that game. Now I got it at 239.5, so I don't want to like recommend to play a point later, but you find an opening DeAndre Hunter line towards the under in the same direction that the game market's moving in the total, I think that would be a great way to do it. And you said it well. The Cavaliers defend the 3 very well. I think that's kind of a priority for Kenny Atkinson. Let me ask you, Brandon, if you still have DeAndre Hunter's game log up and the 7 of 9, was one of the ones that he was actually went over this against the New York Knicks?
It was.
Okay, so if we throw in matchup angles to this stuff, it's like DeAndre Hunter kills the Knicks because of the way their sets are played and the way that he's always the corner shooter and the Knicks are willing to give up that spot. So the same thing we were talking with Grizzlies Rockets, we could transfer it over here and say we could even throw out that probably as an outlier because he's probably has 7 of his last 8 games. He's got 20 plus against the Knicks. He always does that to them. So I don't think it'll hold against the Cavs. And then it really becomes like, 8 of the last relevant 9 or 7 of the last relevant 8 or whatever it is.
And that Knicks game, a good example of the points were there, the assists were not. So if the point total is suppressed, I'm just not that worried that the assists are going to get, you get about a 2-point bump with adding the assists to it. So however you want to play that out there, if you do want to tail this bet, I just like adding, it's a trick of the trade, I guess you could say, is you find the stat that they're not really good at, add it to the number, and hopefully that works out for you. Where do you fall in terms of, some of these numbers, obviously they fluctuate quite a bit. Do you get into the business of, I'd bet it to here, or I'd bet it to that number, for something like this, say 19.5, let's say that you want to bet the under and this actually drops to 18. Do you set a marker in your mind of where you'd be willing to go, or is it simply just, I want the best price, end of story?
Want the best price, not end of story. There's always some gray area to literally everything in gambling. There's reasons to place parlays. There's reasons to tease through the 0 in football. There's reasons to, like, there are ways and reasons to break rules. There's smart times to cash out of bets. All of these things. There's good opportunities to hedge. So in terms of like thresholds for these things, I kind of think it's very market specific. In an NBA total, if something has moved 2 points, but I still think it has like at least a point to go. I guess the way to say it, Brandon, is what I'm really doing in my own mind is projecting what the closing line is and still wanting to be a certain amount ahead of the close. So even if I'm caught not getting the best number since open, if I still have enough value between me and close, which is like at least half a point in an NBA spread, at least a full point in an NBA total, probably at least a full point in any of these prop markets. As long as I can get that, if there's signs that this goes to 17 and a half and I'm sitting there at the 18 and a half, sure. The reverse is if it's at 20 and a half and I wanted the under, right? We want the under at 19 and a half and I go back to the board later, whole board's at 20 and a half and it was previously at 19. I'll shut up. I'll hang the phone. I'll say, all right, I'm not betting in any direction for this one. That's a stay away.
Right. Yeah. You don't want the market moving against you.
I don't give the market the bird. I don't give it the middle finger.
No. So we're not doubling down in these situations. Just live with it. This actually just happened to me tonight. I took the Toronto Raptors -7 against the Wizards, and the number then moved down to 6. I'm sitting here pulling my non-existent hair out, and they go ahead and cover the spread anyway. So,
but you gotta Grady Dick missed tonight's game, so insert your Grady Dick joke of him screwing Brandon over on the spread, but he covered anyways.
We're all good there. Anything
put
else?
It in your Tommy John pants. Why don't you?
You know what? Great place to put the Grady Dick. Anything else before we hop out of here?
On this card, no, I think that's a great place to be. Give me the Magic. The other place that I did bet was Lakers, but it's now sitting at 7 when I played it at 5.5. So skip that, especially without Anthony Davis.
Magic -5 to recap is where Michael Fiddle will be heading. I have the Grizzlies -4 and DeAndre Hunter under 19.5 points plus assists. But if it pops to 20, I won't freak out. It's like Fiddle said, a high total in that one. When you are truly comfortable, you do everything better, and that includes betting on these games. So go get yourself some Tommy Johns. If you want to instantly tail the bets that we've discussed in this episode, find the quick slip link in the podcast and YouTube video description, or go to the Action Network app. You can also go to actionnetwork.com/bet now. That's a wrap for Thursday's episode. Thanks for tuning in. Let's get buckets.